Heading into its second week, the Linden Commission of Inquiry is continuing to hear contradictory evidence being put forward by senior members of the Guyana Police Force. This morning, Assistant Superintendent Patrick Todd, who headed the Tactical Services Unit in Linden on July 18, when 3 protesters were shot and killed, testified that his hands were never swabbed for gunpowder residue after the Linden shooting incident. That is in direct contradiction to the testimony by Police Commissioner Acting Leroy Brummel, who testified last week that all of the TSU officers who went to Linden were swabbed after the shooting incident as part of the probe.
Mr. Todd, were your hands ever swabbed at any time, wiped for gunpowder residue?
No, sir.
Was any member of your unit, as far as you're aware, did they have their hands swabbed or swiped at any time?
I can't recall, sir.
No further questions.
Todd, who testified that he was the only one from his unit who did the shooting of the shotgun and the throwing of the tear gas on July 18, said his actions were justifiable, but he did not mean to cause injury to anyone.
My course of action that I took, I think, was justifiable. And it's my deep down feelings to not cause no injuries to no one and use whatever the tailstone police have done with caution to minimize no injury.
He said on the day of the incident he was never contacted by the police commissioner, and that continued for the duration of his time in Linden. He said all the orders he got was from Senior Superintendent Clifton Hicken. He said he was in Hicken's division and therefore Hicken was the senior one, the one he reported to and the one he took orders from. When one of the commissioners quizzed him about the 2 times the unit went to the bridge, Todd testified that he believes the first call they got to the bridge was a bad one. He was also asked about whether it would have been wiser for the TSU ranks to remain at the bridge after the first call rather than to head back to the police station and return hours later.
Sir, I work with instructions from Senior Superintendent Hickens.
I know, and I have that in mind, that you work from instructions. But as the expert in crowd control, the head of the unit, in your own judgment, wouldn't it have been better if you had remained there to control the crowd?
So the first call, I think it was bad in judgment to have that unit to go in the middle of the crowd. But if the first call, if we were to remain away from the crowd, I think it would be better for us to remain away of the crowd, on standby to observe.
So you're saying if you all had remained there, on the scene, so to speak, you believe that the crowd would not have behaved that way?
Not on the scene, away, a little way off the scene.
Yeah, I'm not speaking specifically, well, a little way, but able to see them or to be visible. That's what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am, to identify, to get a proper opportunity to identify persons.
Your evidence, and you're telling us, this commission, is that you believe that if you all had not left the scene in that morning, but remained there within sight, that the persons there, the protesters, according to you, they would not have behaved in the manner they eventually did. That's what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
And when Todd left the witness stand, Corporal Donald Harry was called to testify. He was stationed in the arms room of the Tactical Services Unit. He testified that when the ranks returned, they handed in less ammunition than they left with. And he also testified that he found it unusual that the weapons and ammunition were only returned to the arms room on July 22nd, although the ranks returned July 19. Corporal Harry also told the commission that some ranks returned and handed in weapons that they were not issued, but he said the weapons were taken for ballistics tests.